Yo, call me a crossover. You want to bend over? Hey, everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the Game Skates. Today, and only today, we are here to do a fun topic that I've been dying to do for a long time, and that is going to be ranking / rating Sonic crossovers. Now, I've actually gathered a bunch of crossovers. I've tried to gather as many as possible. I tried to keep it that ones that made sense. So I didn't just grab like a random mobile game. Like I know Sonic was in Cookie Run, and like he's in like, you know, the cat paper war game on mobile, or you know, Mystery Busters, like, you know, or SMT5, like stuff like that. I kind of kept that. I tried to keep it to like crossovers that I felt like had some significance, or at least some minor impact in some way. But yeah, we're gonna rank these from perfect to great crossover, cool, wasted potential, okay, and as in I didn't need this. So without further ado, subscribe to your boys, support the content, let's lock in, and of course, let's just do this, man. All right, let's start over here with the one I have. Actually, two of these we should just get rid of right away, and that is the Sonic X Lost World Nintendo collab. I was gonna rank these, you know, separately originally, but I think these two are pretty much, they kind of go hand in hand, so it would be weird to rank one without the other. So this was so funny. This was during the Wii U era, where Sega and Nintendo sort of had like a collaboration. They were just working together a lot, and insanely enough, in Sonic Lost World, there was actually a Legend of Zelda level and a Yoshi's Island level, which is crazy. And like, what baffles me so much about this, you know, is the fact that you were doing an official first time like level in a platformer crossover with Sonic, but they didn't put Mario in there. Like, that's crazy to me. And the only reason I feel like they didn't get Mario is probably because, you know, they weren't allowed to. I feel like there had to have been a conversation about getting a Mario level in there, but they were like, hey, we'll give you Zelda and we'll give you Yoshi instead. But regardless, these two levels are so interesting because the Zelda level actually plays like an actual, you know, Zelda level. Like, it's a bit of an open field, you know, there's rupees you collect instead of rings. There's actual secrets around the map you can find. And the Yoshi level plays like an actual like 2D Yoshi level, where it's literally just a 2D level. You're gathering different eggs, you're going through it. So thank you, Talking Flower. And so it really does work as like a standalone level, right? But obviously, you know, this is just one level, so it never really goes beyond that. I do like the music remixes that they have in there, included in this, but like, yeah, I don't know. I for me, I'm going to put this in like the cool category, just because like I think this is a cool novelty for a crossover, right? But I feel like there should have been more, and obviously this is a very one-sided collab where it was just, you know, those characters inside, and you don't even really like get to interact. But man, the fact that there is a shot of like Slink on a skyloft, you know, running past Sonic in an actual game, is kind of crazy. And yeah, it's a little bit surreal, but hey, yeah, we're gonna put this in cool for now. Next up, we have an iconic oldie over here, if you were here for it. So this is Sonic X Mega Man, the original. There was a, back in the day, I think this was in like, yeah, 2015. This is almost 11 years ago now. Oh my god. This was a official collaboration between Capcom and Sega on a comic run for Sonic in the Archie comic line, where there was basically this big crossover comic between Sonic and Mega Man, and obviously included some Street Fighter characters. And this was incredibly fun at the time. This was a good read. I actually have the physical copy of the original, like the full comic run copy, which is pretty dope. And it was like a great storyline. I don't remember too much of it, but I do remember like actually being invested in the storyline, seeing like Super Sonic and, you know, Mega Man with the gold, you know, EXE, not EXE, like this gold full armor set was really cool. And obviously seeing, you know, the different character interactions was hella dope. This is one of those crossovers where, like, you know, I preferred if it was a level, and you know, I wish there was a lot more to this, right? Because Sonic and Mega Man feels like a match made in heaven. I mean, we just got Mega Man in Sonic Racing Crossroads, but you know, this was just a comic run, and because I love the idea of Sonic and Mega Man so much, I am going to put this in wasted potential. Even though this is a very fun comic line, and again, I thought it was a good read, I feel like, you know, Sonic and Mega Man doing an official full crossover deserves a bit more oomph. It deserves that platforming level kind of deal. You know what I mean? It would have been dope if, you know, Mega Man had a level that had Eggman as, you know, the final boss at the end, or like if Sonic was in a level. But again, we're sort of seeing them slowly fix that with stuff like, you know, Sonic X Mega Man in Crossroads, and hopefully more in the future. All right, next up, this is a fun one, and I don't think I could have gone this video without talking about it, because this is one that people bring up all the time. This is the Wreck-It Ralph Sonic cameo. Now, Sonic actually, funny enough, appears in both movies, right? I believe in the first one, he's in like the, you know, characters counseling class, and in the second one, he has the moment where he explains what the internet is to Ralph, and like, which is still like a hysterically weird thing to say. For me, here's the thing. I think this is cool for me, because, you know, it's between wasted potential and cool, because I don't really, I've never thought about Wreck-It Ralph and Sonic as a thing. I just kind of find it cool that Sonic was ever here to begin with. You know what I mean? And people like to this day bring up that mind roll and how like beautifully animated Sonic is. Like the fact that Disney got their hands on Sonic. Now, granted, Sonic is pretty like, you know, Sega's pretty nice about Sonic collaborating with a lot of things, but it was so cool to see Sonic animated by Disney. I wish, again, Sonic did more, like, but it just, for me, this is just one of those novelty picks that I really, you know, I look back fondly on. So I'm gonna put Wreck-It Ralph X Sonic in cool. I think it's a cool collaboration. Next up, we have an iconic one. This is Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. So actually, as of the recording of this video, this series is omega dead. Actually, they just delisted Mario and Sonic at the 2020 Olympics from the eShop, which I find is really sad. I don't like, you know, when games go away like that. So please, if you'd like to go buy a physical copy out there before you can never play this game again, potentially, go out and get your copies for it. But yeah, I will say, when it comes to Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, this is such an interesting franchise, because I would say this is arguably the biggest, most notable crossover Sonic has ever been in. You know, I'll never forget, like, my entire life when I was, you know, even back in 2007 when this happened, I'll never forget freaking out, being like, oh my god, I'm finally playing a game with my, you know, my childhood heroes together, right? And the fact that, you know, this series spawned multiple games and it became sort of a mainstay, you almost expected it for a while. Now seeing that it's kind of dead it's a little sad, because it was kind of like the only thing we really had to bridge Mario and Sonic as franchises together. And I feel like now more than ever, because Sonic is so much more in the fold, right? And now they are genuinely versus Nintendo again in terms of box office shares, right? In terms of even, you know, platforming and games on their platforms. Like, I feel like this relationship is not as strong as it used to be. I think, you know, Sonic will still be part of, you know, hopefully Smash in the future, because, you know, Sakurai pays respects to the medium, but I don't know. This might be the crux of everything, but I will say, obviously, I think everybody agrees Mario and Sonic is a great crossover, not perfect. I think all of us at the end of the day want Mario and Sonic to be collabing in, you know, a platforming sense, because that is, you know, their bread and butter, and we all want that to be what it peaks at. But I think this is a great crossover. I mean, we got cool character interactions throughout the game. We've seen like victory animations between the characters. I mean, the CG openings alone, right, are just full of so much love and heart and soul that it's so hard to not be like happy when you finally see these characters interacting. You know, Shadow and Yoshi, Luigi and Tails, like all these weird character interactions you never thought would have happened in there. The dream events in some of the games where, like, you know, you have Sonic characters running through galaxy areas, or Mario levels running through Sonic areas. So overall, a really great crossover, but it's not perfect because, again, we all know what we want from this. All right, what's the next one I have over here? Ooh, this is Minecraft X Sonic. So this is a fun one to talk about, because this is kind of like an ongoing relationship that Sonic has with Minecraft. So obviously a lot of people know it from now with, you know, Crossroads having the Minecraft content, but Sonic has been getting consistent content in Minecraft for a while. Again, during the 30th anniversary, they dropped a Sonic pack where you could go to Green Hill and, you know, Chemical Plant, and have some decorations and have a hub world and have the gang playable. But actually, I think last year they dropped even like another texture pack. they've dropped like multiple level packs in Minecraft. So for me, this is one of those collabs that I think is super fun overall. And now, obviously, you know, when it comes to Sonic, I'm not a big Minecraft guy, so this doesn't really mean a lot to me. But I know, obviously, you know, Minecraft is a really big game, and I do think the way it's handled in Minecraft is pretty good, because I know there's like speed items you can get to go fast. I know they just added Supersonic recently and Super Shadow. So I do think overall, for, you know, a collab with Minecraft, which isn't very like Sonic core, I don't think Sonic fans go and say, oh man, I really want Sonic in Minecraft. I do think it's one of those crossovers that I think is important and healthy. So I think I'm gonna put it in cool, right? I would probably put it, you know, yeah, I'd put it in the cool section over here, just because I think, again, it's a dope crossover, but it's not one that like I've ever asked for. Not many of the fans, I feel like, really asked for. All right, next up, we've got Sonic X Monster Hunter. Now, this, again, ongoing collab, because I feel like they have now collabed in multiple games. There was Sonic stuff in Monster Hunter Rise. If you guys remember, in Sonic Frontiers, they added like Sonic with the Monster Hunter gear, where you could do like the little, you know, mini game where you spin the meat around and the song plays to get some tokens. And, you know, even in Monster Hunter, I feel like it's more fleshed out in Monster Hunter, because, you know, you get the costumes for the characters. I think in one of the 3DS ones, there was also a Sonic crossover where in that game, you know, you could collect rings. City Escape was playing if you got it. So I do like the ongoing relationship with Monster Hunter and Sonic. My only problem with both of them is that I feel like this like should be more. You know what I mean? Like, I think for me, this almost does fall into the wasted potential, because like, I feel like with a game like Monster Hunter, there should be like an egg robo, you know, that, you know, Eggman built for you to fight in Monster Hunter Rise, right? I would have loved if in Sonic Frontiers it wasn't just Sonic with the Rathalos armor. Why not have a Rathalos boss fight in Frontier? So for me, this is one that, because like the concept behind this is so fucking cool, even though I really like it, I do kind of categorize it in the wasted potential, because it should be more than, hey, here's a costume, here's like a Palico skin for Sonic and some rings. You know, I should want this to be like a big boss fight, not even like a Sonic level. Like, they should have had a Sonic area in Monster Hunter Rise. Again, this is wishful thinking, but for me, this goes in wasted potential because I love this concept so much, and I just want a lot more out of it as a crossover. All right, next up, oh, we've got Sonic and Super Smash Bros. Brawl. This one, I'm not gonna lie to you, I think this is a perfect crossover. Now, there's a lot to discuss here. I know people want a lot more out of, you know, Sonic and Smash than we get, right? Because we do only have like Green Hill Zone, a level from Lost World. We want more levels and songs and stuff. But here's my thing. I think this is just perfect because like, this was still in that 2000 era where like it was a massive deal for this like breakthrough of like, all right, these characters that were rivals for so long are now in a fighting game together. And I think for me, Sonic, and a lot of us kind of agree, he feels like he's a permanent rotation character. I mean, he's been in there since they've introduced guest characters. He's been in Brawl, he's been in Smash 4, and he's been in Smash Ultimate. And, you know, hopefully in the next game, I feel like of all the characters that are to stay, Sonic feels like it is one of them. Now, again, do I think he is treated the best in this? No, right? Absolutely not. But I do think this is a match made in heaven in terms of crossovers. Like, Sonic should be out here, you know, fighting Mario, Sonic, Pac-Man, you know, that whole gang in there. Like, Sonic, you know, punching Mario into the Minecraft area is one of the most iconic things. Even like, Sonic has even become part of the main CG opening characters. Like, I think, you know, if you even look back to the World of Light opening CG trailer that they had dropped, of the third-party characters in that opening, like, it was Snake who was, you know, part of the original third parties, and Sonic running with Pikachu. So there is a bit of, you know, that like solid old school third-party character picks for Smash that are significant to the game. But for me, Sonic in Smash is a perfect crossover because it's one that it's a dream crossover. Like, of everything we're looking at here, Sonic in a Smash Bros game is a dream that came true. And so we want it to be better, but we want it to be a permanent stay in our lives. All right, next up, this is a super fun one, actually. This is Sonic X Lego. Again, this is a crossover that is actually also like pretty ongoing. This is something that we still get a lot of stuff for to this day. I mean, we got Lego stuff in Sonic Superstars, but most notably, this was Sonic in Lego Dimensions. Sonic in Lego Dimensions was probably one of the best celebrations of Sonic you could get. You could buy the Sonic toys for the thing, and then you could go to a whole like Green Hill area. You would run away from, you know, the whale in Emerald Coast. There was like a bunch of levels. I played it a long time ago on stream, but I remember having a great time with this DLC and having so many of the characters. There's like a whole hub world area where you can find Shadow, you can find Amy, you can find Silver, you can find a lot of the gang chilling. You can do side quests with them, and like, to me, this is a crossover where they really cared about the IP and they really took care of it as much as they could. You know, is Lego and Sonic my favorite thing in the world? No, absolutely not. But I do think they did a damn good job of treating it with a lot of respect. And again, like I said, it's clearly an ongoing relationship. To this day, we see those skits that Sonic does with, you know, Izuka and the team, where they announce the merch or the new stuff, and they do those funny little skits announcing Lego X Sonic. So I do feel like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I think this is treated incredibly well. I would put it in like in the high grade. I would even put it in terms of like care above like Mario and Sonic and Great Crossover. The only reason, again, it doesn't go in perfect is because, again, it's not something that is a dream come true. I don't think people sit here all day and go like, man, I've always wanted Lego X Sonic. You know, it not existing wouldn't change much in life. But again, I really do commend how much they've treated Sonic and Lego with care, and how much that relationship between both companies has like continued to flourish to this day. You know, whether it's new toys that they're launching, whether it's crossover packs, whether it's DLC, I hope to see more of it in the future. Ooh, another fun one over here. We've got Sonic X Pac-Man. This is such a fun recent relationship because for the longest time, every anniversary, every birthday anniversary for Sonic and Pac-Man, the social medias would always post like crossover art between them celebrating each other's birthday. It was super wholesome, super cute. You know, it was cool to see them side by side with each other in Smash Bros. But we finally, I feel like in the last year, got the full crossover between Pac-Man and Sonic. You know, beyond stuff like mobile games, because I know like Pac-Man was in like the mobile game Sonic Dash or whatever. But again, if we're talking about full-scale crossover, this was a full-scale crossover, right? Because you had Pac-Man go into Sonic Racing Crossroads, right? But you also had Sonic go into Pac-Man World Repack 2 DLC, where you could do, you know, a Green Hill level. I think you had some chemical plant stuff in there. Now, I do wish this had been a little bit more fleshed out, right? It's almost imperfect because it is one of those crossovers where you're like, yeah, of course I want to see Sonic and Pac-Man interact. Of course I want to see Sonic and Mario interact, Sonic and Mega Man, right? But I do think it is fun to see like both games got something out of this, right? And you get the cool like Sonic outfit. The other thing that's like lame about the Pac-Man DLC is Sonic's not really part of it as a playable character. He's kind of like, he shows up at the end, you know, to attack with you. But I think this is a great crossover, man. Like for me, this, because both games benefited from it, and it wasn't just like Sonic and Pac-Man. It was, hey, Pac-Man's in Crossroads with his level, and Sonic is in Pac-Man with his level. I'm gonna put it in great. I think this is a great crossover and exactly how I'd like to see Sonic with the other platformer mascots. Oh, this one, okay, I forgot that I added this in here. Yeah, I guess I counted Sonic Racing Crossroads because it is kind of a collaboration crossover game as well, because we've gotten, you know, Miku, Sega characters, we've gotten Nickelodeon characters, we've gotten Pac-Man, Mega Man, and I think, you know, a lot of people love this. I think this for me is easily a great, and it's not perfect. The only reason it's not perfect is because obviously, one, so far until we get our year 2, it is a lot of Nickelodeon characters. the no voice acting is still an issue, and I do wish there was a bit more towards the free Sega characters. I wish they all got a stage or something. But for the most part, I do think, you know, the stages they've dropped so far for Crossroads have been very fun, and I think it is like a great crossover world. I just wish they were integrated into the game a little bit more properly, where they got, you know, unique dialogues in the Grand Prix mode, or they got, you know, obviously voice lines and maybe, you know, a few more songs, because, yeah, I feel like Minecraft got great songs, but Mega Man didn't. So there's a weird ratio of how they handle each DLC pack, but obviously great crossover game. Next up, what do we got here? Oh, this is Sonic X Fall Guys. So, you know what's funny about this is that Sonic, to this day, is the only Fall Guys crossover character to actually have gotten their own stage, right? All the other crossovers have been like, you know, maybe a unique gimmick, right? Or it's a costume, but Sonic actually got a full-on stage. And this DLC, I think there was multi-parts to it, because I do think they eventually added like Super Sonic in there, and they added a few more characters. Oh, I guess no, Super Sonic is right there. But yeah, this was a fun DLC for me. Like, this isn't really wasted potential. I think this is one of those, like, cool. I mean, Sonic and Fall Guys makes a lot of sense. It having its own stage is really cool. And yeah, I don't really have much to say about this one, because it is just like, yeah, here's cool stuff. Especially when you consider, you know what I didn't put on this list? What Epic did with Sonic for Fortnite and Rocket League, where it's like, here's like a skin. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Sonic deserves better. One day we'll get our Sonic Fortnite collab. Sonic is, dude, Fortnite collabs with everything that breathes under the sun. They better treat Sonic with care when they get to him. Boom. Next up, oh, this is Sonic X Angry Birds. So this one for me, it's like, the reason I put it here is because, like, obviously Sega owns Angry Birds, so it's a bit of an interesting ongoing collab, and they've done a lot together, whether it's Angry Birds in, you know, Sonic Dash, right, or, you know, now he's coming to Crossroads, or Sonic's been in Angry Birds with like skins and stuff. But like, and this is one of those where it's just like, this feels like the most like, yeah, hey, we bought Rovio, so we gotta put Sonic in some stuff type thing. It's just a very like, okay, I guess. I mean, like, let's just fill in the blanks, right? Ooh, next up we have what they call is a pretty notable one. This is the Sonic X DC collaboration. This is something, you know, that is, again, is ongoing, has been going on for a while now, and is going on round 2 soon. I believe in May or June is when we're getting the second set of this. This has been an awesome crossover series, right? Ever since the announcement where we got that teaser trailer where Shadow was dressed as Batman, and then we got the full comic line last year, which I loved. I did like full read-through reactions if you want to go check them out, but I loved these Sonic X DC crossovers, and like, this is one of those things that like I never thought was gonna happen, but it ended up being so perfect. You know, seeing Sonic in like the Flash's costume, or Shadow in the Batman fit, or Tails as Cyborg, like in all their different costumes and forms, has been a joy to see. And again, some of those art panels are incredible. I know they've released some toys for it. This is one that could be perfect, but it's not there yet, because I want more out of this. You know what I mean? This is one where like, I want an animation, right? A full animation of this would be perfect. And honestly, that's kind of all I need, right? You know, you could maybe throw in some of the DC characters in Crossroads if you wanted to, but this is like a perfect comic book collaboration. That's why I'm so excited to see what they end up doing with Godzilla down the line. But yeah, for the most part, this one like is great. You know, I mean, I think this is like a perfect, great crossover that they've done. Ooh, next up we've got Sonic X Miku. Now, this one is, ooh, there's so many layers to this, because, you know, obviously Sega owns the rights to, I think, Miku games, right? I don't think they own like Miku fully, but they have some sort of deal with Miku where they develop the game stuff. But regardless, for Sonic Racing Crossroads, beyond Miku just being in the game, right, they did have some songs, right? They had a whole project called like Project what was it? There was some project where they had a bunch of like Sonic and Miku songs to, you know, honor the release of Sonic Racing Crossroads, which is great, and I love that. Obviously, Miku is about music. I do wish this was treated like Project Voltage with Pokemon, where like Miku has gotten like a bunch of like, you know, Pokemon skins. I would have loved to see like a Miku costume for every Sonic character and have a bit more care into it. But for the most part, I mean, it did its job. It gave you Miku X Sonic songs, which like, that's what you're consuming Miku for. The only thing I would like to see more of is, you know, maybe in those rhythm games with like the 3D music videos, maybe have like Sonic included in them. And I would have loved a Miku stage in Crossroads, but I don't think this is wasted potential. I think this goes in the, like, you know, bare minimum cool category. All right, and now we've got Ugly Sonic. This is probably one of the most begrudging. I hate this collab more than anything. Now, the reason, so when this came out on the internet, I really hated this. You know, I really did with every fiber of my being not like this, because it just, like, I don't know. Ugly Sonic to me was like something that really, like, you know, it cost people their jobs, because I think the original studio that worked on movie Sonic stuff got shut down, right? I think, you know, it's just something that like made people have to work a lot more to get rid of. It was like a very big stain, and obviously it's something we're allowed to make fun of nowadays, but like, I don't know, this was one of those, like, they unironically made him a full character in the stupid Chip and Dale rescue mission series, and he's like a full character, like he like saves the day at the end or something ridiculous like that. But it's like, I just don't like Ugly Sonic. This is such like a hey, look, haha, isn't this funny kind of crossover. For me, like, this is the you know, I mean, this is very much like the do I need this anywhere near any of my family or my loved ones or anything like that? I don't think so, man. I don't know. It's just, it's not one of those that I would ever celebrate or like champion or enjoy in any way, shape, or form. Hi, Future Fidel here. There's one actually notable crossover that I did want to mention, because I know a lot of my replies would be mentioning them, and that is the OKKO cartoon special where Sonic actually crossed over in this episode. This is one of the few times where, like, you know, Sonic got a full cartoon crossover, because in cartoons and media, you'll always see like little references and nods to Sonic, but this was a full episode where Sonic and Tails cameoed, and I think, you know, we could all kind of agree this is cool, nothing crazy. I mean, this is one of those crossovers where like the full episode was dedicated to Sonic, but there was nothing more that came out of this. You know, it's not like we got OKKO stuff in Sonic. This isn't something people were necessarily dreaming of, but I do think the episode itself is a lot of fun. You know, you get a lot of Roger Sonic, you get a lot of fun references, moments. Obviously, it's an episode, so it's hard to show a lot of clips from it. But I think this is one that, you know, a lot of people look back at fondly, you know, because I think Sonic does have a place in cartoons. So I would put this in cool, right? I feel like this is like one of the last puzzles of the cool category that would make sense over here. Now, like I said, there are some that I didn't include in here just because they are smaller scale one-offs. Like, for example, I know there's Hello Kitty X Sonic lines that people really like. I know there was the Sonic X IHOP menu, you know, where you could get all those meals. In fact, I literally went to IHOP to review those, right? I know there is a, what's that mobile game that people really like? It's one of those Clash Royale games that people like that Sonic's in. There was this mobile game that I played last year where you could like pull for 5-star Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles units. I don't remember what it was called. So there's a lot of smaller Sonic stuff, but I felt like these were like the notable ones. Like, I felt like these were the ones that have like been heavily marketed and pushed. And of course, in the comment section below, please let me know out of these, which is your favorite. And honestly, you know, while we're here, final kind of discussion point. Crossovers that I would love to see Sonic collab with over in the future. First of all, and I think we all agree to this, Dragon Ball, right? I feel like Dragon Ball is the dream one. Like, that's the one, that's the key that I'm missing in my life. Because in my mind, you know, in my like fanboy world that I've lived in, it's like, okay, I've seen Sonic interact with Mega Man. Boom, a dream come true. I've seen Mario interact with Sonic in some way. Dream come true. I've seen it with Sonic and Pac-Man. You know, I've seen it with things I love. But like Dragon Ball is that one neuron in my head that I need filled. So whether, I don't know how they're going to do it. Whether they get Dragon Ball stuff in Crossroads, whether they're able to, you know, do it in another thing, I would gladly take that, right? Another big one is Fortnite. You know, as much as I joke around about, you know, Fortnite sucks and all that stuff, I would admit if they treated Sonic with care in Fortnite and had, you know, like a whole area dedicated to maybe the next Sonic game or a Green Hill Zone or whatever, Sky Sanctuary, where you could fly, maybe you had like a spin dash gimmick that they could introduce, it would be super fun. And obviously, you know, people for a long time, to this day, people discuss how are they gonna do Sonic stuff in Fortnite. Is it gonna be full skins where we get long Sonic characters? Is it gonna be onesies with gear and music? Like, what way and what shape or form are they going to take when they eventually do Sonic in Fortnite? So that's going to be a big question. And obviously, you know, another big one, and I talked about it earlier, I do want a proper Sonic and Mario crossover one day. You know, once they feel confident enough, once I feel like they can do it, I would love to see something in that realm, you know, where they actually got to cross over on a game or something significant. I would also love, I don't know how they would do it, I still would love to see Sonic X Pokemon. I think that would be really cool, especially in terms of merch, right? Like having maybe trying to see what like Pokemon would each Sonic character hang out with. I mean, obviously you'd have Sonic with Pikachu, right? But like which Pokemon would AB? Oh, dude, AB paired up with Tinkaton for a mission would be like incredibly cool. Who would Tails hang out with? Like what Pokemon would Tails be associated with? Let me know in the comment section below which Pokemon would you associate with each Pokemon trailer, right? I feel like I could see like Snivy hanging out with Jet the Hawk, right? I could see Zoroark hanging out with Shadow as his pick. Like, and I don't know if they would do a comic line, a special episode or something, but Sonic X Pokemon is another dream one that I would love to see. But there's so many ideas. I feel like what's so fun about Sonic as an IP and a character we all love and care about is that it's such a malleable IP. Like it can be crossed over with anything. It can be with realistic characters. It can be with cartoony characters. Like it is such a flexible IP in the things it can do. So I'd love to know what your guys' dream crossover picks are. And of these, which do you think maybe I didn't rate fairly? Which ones do you like more? Let me know as always in the comment section below. Thank you all for watching. You're all the goats. And of course, I'll see you all next time. Peace out. Oh yeah. Of course.